Dateline Chicago, Monday, 29 January. Providing yet more evidence, as if we needed it, that politicians are really great at keeping their promises, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson has reneged on his previous guarantee of a 60-day limit on accommodations for the thousands of Joe Biden's illegal aliens currently being housed at taxpayer expense in the airports and the schools and the parks and the rec centers and various other venues that the people of Chicago used to naively think were reserved for their own use since, they pay for them and everything. And now they get to pay for them twice. Isn't that swell? So you don't get to use the public facilities you pay for because Joe Biden's illegal aliens need a place to eat the food you pay for and sleep under the blankets you pay for and surf the wireless internet you pay for on the fancy new iPhones that you also paid for. Asked by reporters just why in the hell the tax-paying citizens of that fair city should be arbitrarily deprived of the services and facilities they already get taxed through the nose to pay for, Mayor Johnson scoffed, made a very angry face, and said, quote, "Shut up, racist!" Reminded that around 99% of the aggrieved citizens in question are black and Latino, he stated, quote, "Well, shut up, xenophobe!" Reminded that around 1/3 of the aggrieved citizens in question are lawful immigrants, he stated, quote, "Shit, how many lifelines do I have left?" End quote. Dateline Tallahassee, Tuesday, 30 January. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who has a lot more time to focus on his day job now, stated this week that Representative Ilhan Omar, Democrat from Minnesotistan, should not only be expelled from Congress, but should also be deported from the country altogether after she gave a speech last week in which she proudly stated that she is a Muslim first and a Somali second, and her greatest priority as a member of the U.S. Congress is advancing the interests of Somalia. Those of our viewers who managed to achieve a 6th grade education won't need it explained to them that Ms. Omar has taken a couple of solemn oaths that are fairly totally irreconcilable with these statements that for some bizarre reason she has chosen to make in public. And who knows, maybe she thought nobody would find out because she was speaking in Somali. I think she's just stupid enough that I don't think I would put it past her. The point being, neither the citizenship oath nor the congressional oath permit of a naturalized citizen, much less a member of the House of Representatives, maintaining any sort of dual loyalty to countries other than the United States. Should she be thrown out of Congress? Well, hell yeah. Should she be expelled from the country? Hell yeah. Will either of those things happen? Hell no. But I think we can all share a smile, knowing what would happen to her if she actually had to go home to the Somalia that she says she sparkly hearts so very much since, according to my understanding of the Quran, since she is an admitted adulteress and homewrecker who enjoys sleeping with the husbands of her female subordinates, and thus is guilty of a capital offense according to the tenets of Islam, she would immediately be buried in the ground up to her chest while the men of the town lovingly threw rocks at her head until she expired from blunt force cranial trauma, which might exactly make her IQ go up, but this reporter digresses. Dateline Des Moines, Wednesday, 31 January. A 34-year-old Christian and U.S. Navy veteran named Michael Cassidy has been charged with a felony hate crime for destroying a statue of Satan inside the rotunda of the Iowa State Capitol. And you know how sometimes you get done saying a sentence and you think, that thing I just said cannot possibly be for real? Well, this is one of those times. Do you think we've gone maybe just a tiny bit overboard with the whole religious ecumenicalism thing when damaging the image of Beelzebub, Lucifer, the Prince of Darkness, Mephistopheles, the Antichrist, pick whichever nickname you prefer, can result in a hate crime felony charge? In Iowa? Especially when even the Satanists themselves freely concede that they aren't a real religion. They don't actually believe in the devil or in any other supernatural thing. And they just do this stuff because they enjoy trolling Christians and transgressing against all things that are traditional and socially normative. And as patently absurd as it is to begin with, it gets pretty damned horrifying when you contrast the safeguarding of Satan and Satanists against the fact that Joe Biden's Justice Department is currently trying to put a dozen pro-life activists in prison for 11 years for the dastardly crime of praying outside an abortion clinic. Now, when you were a kid, did you ever imagine living in a version of America where the government defends Satanists and openly persecutes Christians? Yeah, me either. Dateline San Francisco, Thursday, 1 February. In another case of 21st century real life, imitating a Saturday Night Live sketch from the 1990s, Silicon Valley billionaire Peter Thiel has announced that he is going to bankroll something he calls the Olympics on steroids. Except this ain't just a funny metaphor, folks. The name really means what it says. This dude is going to create a version of the Olympics where the use of performance-enhancing drugs isn't just permitted or even encouraged, it's required. So this could create a whole new quirky twist on the traditional Olympic drug scandal, because I imagine that you'll have to piss test all the competitors to make sure they're all juicing, won't you? And you'll have to disqualify people for not having the required levels of performance-enhancing drugs in their systems. I can see it now. Breaking news, Bulgarian weightlifter banned from steroid Olympics for insufficient nandrolone levels. And I assume there will have to be some sort of appeals process. In the case of a false negative, I've got it. The guy can go before the Steroid Olympic Doping Committee, pull down his shorts, and say, look, there you go. See how tiny my dick and balls are? It's like a baby seahorse and a couple of chickpeas down there. Now, how would I ever have achieved that without ingesting massive quantities of nandrolone and HGH? I will not have my athletic honor called into question by you assholes. So go ahead, take a good long look. It only remains to be seen if somebody actually pulls their own arms off while attempting a clean and jerk like Kevin Nealon did in the old SNL sketch. And hey, I've bought things on pay-per-view for sillier reasons, so I think I might actually be on board with this. Dateline Washington, Friday, 2 February. Senator James Lankford of Oklahoma, who's been handed the unenviable task of being the frontman for Mitch McConnell's pro-illegal alien bill that pretends to be an anti-illegal alien bill, received a heaping helping of much-deserved mockery this week when he took to Twitter and bizarrely claimed, in contravention of all the known facts, that all of the 9/11 hijackers ingressed the country illegally. Here it is from the horse's ass's mouth, quote, all of the 9/11 hijackers were present in the U.S. illegally. We shouldn't wait until the next horrific terror attack to realize that our wide-open southern border is a national security risk, end quote. Now, setting aside the fact that the bill he's sponsoring doesn't really do a damn thing to ameliorate the problem of the border being open, because in point of fact, the only way for that to be accomplished is for Biden and the enemy saboteur Mayorkas to stop gleefully ignoring the laws that already exist and start actually enforcing them. And the best part of this is that Lankford got mercilessly community noted by Twitter readers. Quote, readers added context. This is false. All the 9/11 hijackers arrived legally. The U.S. 9/11 Commission plainly stated this as well. And of the 19 hijackers, 4 were in the U.S. beyond their visa expiry date, i.e. an overstayed visa, but even that isn't immediate grounds for removal, end quote. I'm not ever going to say I'm a Twitter fan, but the community notes thing, it's pretty freaking awesome. Because this reporter is in favor of any mechanism whereby lying douchebag politicians get publicly shamed and humiliated for being lying douchebag politicians. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your decline of Western civilization news roundup for this, the 5th week of the 5th year of the 3rd decade of the 21st century. And with that, we send it over to my illustrious co-host, the lovely and talented, the one and only, your friend and mine, Mr. Caucasian Sasquatch.